frequency of 52 megacycles by authority of the Federal Communications Commission. A test program follows. To you who have been trained technically, I need hardly say that there's still a number of problems to solve. I guess you know them as well as anybody knows them. But I think we've proceeded far enough to justify the statement, at least, that these technical problems are not insurmountable.
Muting. Salty proving that SAS is just a number. Moving on to reversal.
Okay, and here we are with the reversal match. So we have the deck brought by Baguettes and Switch on the left, and the deck brought by So Salty on the right. So obviously they'll be piloted by the reverse teams. Yeah, another high disparity on the SAS side. I think that's going to be sort of a trend across the board, which maybe we'll reflect on at the end. But initial impressions on this one, Zeb?
Oh man, I think that again, yeah, another disparate matchup, and it's really hard not to just look at the paper value of both decks and be like, man, Jennifer looks really strong in this matchup. I mean, especially with all the control mechanics that it has in the disc, just feels like it's going to be taking incremental advantages throughout the game, especially with the 16 speed. And I feel like you can just force Doctor into some really weird turns and just keep pushing forward. But, you know, looking at the details of each of these decks may sing differently, because obviously they picked Doctor to go in this slot specifically, and maybe that has to do with the fact that it has the Too Much to Protect, the Crystal Hive, and a few other cards in here that might help them against Jennifer, which they may have thought was going to be in this slot from the beginning of the game. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of tools Doctor has that could counteract Jennifer. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, obviously, well, on paper it looks to be an uphill battle. I think I tend to agree with SAS on this one. The triple mark of Dis just feels backbreaking, especially if you can keep forcing into some of those Brobnar turns. I don't think you're going to be doing a whole lot other than a fight or a reap here and there. But the triple mark of Dis and even the speed sigils feel very suspect. I mean, I don't really want to be turning on. I don't really want to be turning on Snudge. I don't really want to be turning on Desire. Don't really want to turn on a crazy Toreto turn, you know.
Absolutely. Like in a post AOA world, you know, speed sigil becomes very suspect. It's whether or not you play it, and that might be even just a key thing to watch out for while this match plays out, is if they discard or play the speed sigil. Because yeah, turning on the Dark Fairy, turning on the Quixos, turning on all that extra efficiency in Jennifer may be something that could be a pit they fall into, and yeah, might regret after it hits the board. Because outside, you know, in the Shadows and Mars, there are some cards you definitely want the speed sigil for, right? You want the Smith to hit the board and reap. You want the Umbra to hit the board and fight, and maybe get some extra value off the Macta Knife. But I'm not sure if that's worth giving your opponent all that advantage.
Yep, I love me some speed sigil, but I'm afraid I'd be discarding it here. And it just feels too much of a liability. And if you kind of start with that as a premise, I'm not sure there's much to go on. But we could be 100% wrong. That 26 expected Amber, I'm curious how much of that is attributed to the speed sigil, and without kind of those two online, I worry about not having that kind of as an advantage to try and bank off of.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a world where you get Crystal Hive out turn one, maybe you just play the sigil and you're like, let's go for as high, let's just rush, let's just go for as fast of a game as possible. And the only thing we have to hope that our opponent draws at untimely points would be the marks of Disc, because as you said, getting stuck in Brobnar turns could be just what slows you down and loses you the game.
Yeah, I'm just kind of taking another look through. Yeah, you can't really let Snudge and Infernus turn online. Oof, that sounds rough.
Yeah, Snudge, or even the Drekker cutting the board with the Speed Sigil.
Mhm.
That's a steal plus a reap.
So, okay, so
Take.
if you're coming into this match and you're playing Dr. Gravwick, what are you trying to look for? What do you think your winning chances are going to come from?
Yeah, I think my winning chances are try to set up a strong too much to protect play, or try to slow my opponent down on their ammo generation by either by with not playing, not hopefully not getting too much protect early. I think that if you have to play it just for the amber pip, and then your opponent knows that they can just burst as high as they want, you have to really then think about the speed sigil and not playing it, because if you give them all that amber advantage, they can definitely take it. They can definitely take it, especially with the Drekker, the Dark Fairies, things that will just generate extra amber upon putting it into the field ready. But if you get an early Crystal Hive, it feels like you want to really then get the Brainstem intent on your John Smith and just start generating amber.
Hmm.
Hope that like the Phosphorus Stars comes around the middle of the game, so you can just stun your opponent's entire board, and then just keep going with that Mars team. An interesting thing is that if War Chest comes out, you might be able to get some extra advantage off the fights, which is kind of nice. So the Angers and the Ganger Chieftain do work for you, which I like a lot. And that also could be something to consider if the War Chest is out and you're thinking about playing the Speed Sigil. It could then, if you do end up having to go into a Brobnar turn, you could be getting extra amber just by killing off their Tratos, killing off their Pismires. The one thing to think about is how does Doctor deal with things like Pismire other than just fighting? You know, looking at their board control, you have the Silent Dagger, which you need to reap to do. You don't really have many tools that can just or targeted removal other than fighting. And
Hmm.
so it feels like Doctor is going to want to take turns where it's going to need to have to fight things off the board, which might be problematic throughout the game for them.
Yeah, especially if you don't have a great advantage on pip count, you're definitely a little bit behind on efficiency. Even if the bulk of that's coming from punctuated equilibrium, I guess you've got the greed, you've got Tirado, the double Lithologicas, and the draw pips. Hmm. Yeah, taking pauses to fight off down the board is going to be tricky, especially when these are both decks that have large creatures. Um,
Yep.
Definitely a little bit bigger on the Brobnar side, it looks like to me. So you've got Novu, you've got Wrath, you've got some skirmish creatures and Logos with the Quixos, but just pound for pound, there's bigger things in the Brobnar side.
Yeah, I mean, but if you think about it, if he gets the Wrath, if he just gets the Discombobulator, if they just get the Discombobulator on a creature behind Wrath, I mean, what do you do at that point? There are just cards in Jennifer that could just really shut down your strategy, especially even the Amber Spine Mongrel are just creatures you just have to deal with, the Pismires, because if you don't, it could create a race that you cannot win.
Mm-hmm. And I worry about banking too much on TMTP to swing the match, just because Jennifer doesn't look like it's going to really burst. I mean, you don't have tons of pips. You don't have. Oof. I mean, and even if you're holding that TMTP, I mean, you have to watch out for punctuated equilibrium or a mark of dis to put you
Yeah.
out of a TMTP turn.
Yeah, that's I think an especially great point is that Mark of Dis, even if you're holding too much to protect, the Mark of Dis can just really rain on your parade, especially if it's telegraphed and they know that you're waiting to set up a big Shadows turn.
Yep. Cool. Well, it'll be interesting one. Dr. Gravwick, it sounds like we think you have a fight on your hands, but good luck. You've got some tools.
Yep, make advantage of that war chest.
And we're back. Well, I'm back. Brett, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Wow, Keyfrog has a mulligan. So Red Panda, who's in the chat. So we look forward to rating your
Red
play.
Panda making a very interesting mulligan. Probably looking at this in a way that we cannot tell. We're already seeing into the fourth dimension and knowing how this game's going to end. Mushroom Review disappearing off the board. Where did Red Panda actually put it? Who knows? Orpheus taking just a bit of a lead. Nice use of the Macdonalds to get rid of the Nicolate. But now we're going to see Mark of Disc coming down. It's going to put into the Snake Lift to be able to take away it is going to allow Orpheus to take the Mushroom Review. I'm sure Red Panda calculated that this would happen. Punctuated Equilibrium could be huge. What are you thinking about this Mars hand, Chris?
Well, looking at it now, I'm not sure. I mean, it's got the capture. It'll be a powerful hand, but I'm not sure exactly how it'll play through.
It's going to be interesting to see when this punctuated Equilibrium comes down. The Zizix and Many taking the Brainstem antenna is very interesting because it's going to allow for more archiving, going for efficiency over amber control, which does kind of make sense given the fact that we have got big creatures that can get rid of Gravajammer. But Professor Tauntaro staying in play is going to allow for extra additional card draw, which is very dangerous.
We all love more card draw, don't we?
Going for the fight over the card draw and the steal, Red Panda surprising goes again with next level plays. So there's the Crystal Hive that Sloppy Labwork said could be a very interesting option. Amber Square Mongol could be huge here. We don't see anything hand that can deal with it straight away apart from the... we'll go again. There's the hand disappears. Bye-bye Crystal Hive, dealt with in hand. Chuff 8 comes in stunned, is going to be able to deal with anything else on the board. And that's a reap from Gravajammer. Red Panda gets the Amber Spire Mongol Amber. You very rarely see that.
Well, yeah, no, you're right. I like the miasma, not the miasma. What's the one the red he's just reaping now? Cymeres. I mean that being that Bismuth, that's such a pain in the ass. So
yeah, the double Bismuth coming up against KOTE is a true testament to how good Mass Precision is, because it is so hard to deal with it because you've got 2 mutants in KOTE. You're very rarely going to have equal or more. These unguided camps are very sad because I cannot see Orpheus having board control here.
no.
Being forced back into Mars, Draclic now comes into play. And oh look! By the grace of Red Panda, we've been allowed to see where the artifacts are.
That was nice of him.
I know. So we now see Greed and Wrath in hand. Greed, it gives you additional cards if you don't use, for every sin you've got on board. And Wrath is just a pain he has to deal with. It's poisonous. And we see him coming down. Dracula has been left alive. Orpheus on 9, but the keys currently cost 13. That is absolute insanity. Because oh no, it wasn't Wrath, it was Desire. That's why keys cost 13. Troll, Anger, fight Troll into. Gets rid of one of the Pismires. Looking to forge a key as soon as possible. Bounce the Troll to heal. Very nice. How's got the Mushroom Review to get the constant heals. Goes, I'm not at 11. Please can I forge a key, sir? And Red Panda is considering it.
I think considering it is the term.
He's going, do I permit you to have a key? Standards testing gets rid of. Forge is the key for 12 off the standards testing. That is absolutely manic. And takes Orpheus off the key, getting up to 5. The sins can forge outside of outside of the forge step as well. Orpheus getting up to 11, going, please, just one key.
Well, it's not. It's only Red Panda's only got 1 key anyway, so it's not like he's currently all the way, but he's in a much better place.
Got more cards in hand, more cards on the board.
Yeah.
One of which is allowing additional sins and is a steal. Play Snudge. Snudge could be absolutely huge here. Keyfrog is back, along with a lot more friends, and this slow down is going to be absolutely huge. Do we have an answer here? We see there was a forced bomb at 10 point to mark of this. So we are going to see Red Panda discard, 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 shuffle, load on, Niffle Queen, Key Frog, check on 6. So we are going to see a very nice Speed Sigil into Urchin, steal 1, Silent Dagger, kill the Key Frog. Yeah, get rid of that Key Frog. He does not want Red Panda having the ability to forge outside of turn. I don't see anything that can stop the forge. Pismir does. It makes it more expensive.
Yeah.
Bait and switch isn't enough. Bait and switch gets to 7. Urchin Reap doesn't get over. And there it is. Two keys from Orpheus. A very close game in the final end, but no one can take down the Red Panda of Destruction.